November 121 Mike, your turn. Taxiing 111.
Hi, I'm Mike Thompson, and welcome to 121 Point Mike. Today's ground school lesson will talk about all the things on the ground. This video is about pre-flight inspections. What is it, and why do we do it? A pre-flight is a visual check of the aircraft's condition to ensure that it is safe for flight. It's up to the pilot in command to ensure that the aircraft is safe for flight. And that's a test question, and you are going to be the pilot in command. If you move up to the airlines, it's probably going to be the first officer that's doing it anyway, or second in command. I don't think I've ever actually seen a captain doing a pre-flight out on the ramp. We do a pre-flight to ensure that the flight ends at a time and a place of our choosing, instead of letting those decisions be left to the aircraft. Maybe we should do a pre-drive then too. Well, I've actually been doing that for a while now, but it's really just consists of a glance at the tires to make sure they're inflated properly. I've had a lot of flats and have plugged over a dozen holes. There's a lot less risk if your car, of course, ends up breaking on the road. And our, I guess, familiarity with cars or complacency with daily driving causes us not to inspect our cars before getting in. Okay, to fasten your seatbelt, you're going to insert the metal fitting into the buckle and press the red button to release. It seems that mechanical devices like to be used and will just tear themselves apart if they're left idle, so we check the plane very thoroughly anytime we haven't flown it in the last few minutes. Each aircraft will have a checklist that you will follow to ensure that your aircraft is safe, and your instructor will probably have you perform a pre-flight with him on your very first flight. That's actually standard FAA training practice, and it gets you familiar with the device that's about to carry you into the sky. Now, if any of you are studying for an instructor certificate, a thorough pre-flight followed by a short flight is how they recommend that you introduce people to flying the first time. Test answer. Of course, follow the checklist for your aircraft, but generally, during your pre-flight, you're going to start inside the plane. You're going to turn the power on, check the lights and gauges, lower the flaps, and some other stuff as needed. Then, you'll move outside the plane and walk around it while checking the items off that are on your list. You'll check the fuel caps and vents, the control surfaces and their connections. You'll check if your nuts are tight. You gotta have tight nuts. Make sure that there are no dents or signs of loose rivets. Are there wingtip lights in place and working? You'll drain some fuel and check it for contaminants in water. Is the landing gear okay? What about the brakes? Is there frost on the plane? Well, then you'll need to remove it with some sort of dry towel or something approved for that. You'll check the oil level, the alternator belt tension, the prop, the spinner, landing light, air intake, nose gear. Did the birds migrate south and take the nest with them? You certainly don't want a nest inside an intake. That is less than ideal. You'll continue around the other side of the plane, checking all the same stuff that you did before. Are the pitot tube and drain holes unblocked? Does the stall warning switch move freely? Are the flaps locked down? Are those nuts tight? Do all the control surfaces have their hinge pins? At the tail, you're going to want to make sure that the antennas are secure and then the lights are working. Hinge pins in place? Safety wire? Tight nuts? Control stops in place? Do the linkages look good? Is the baggage door secure? Is your plane still tied down and are the chocks in place? Well, they probably shouldn't be anymore. Whew! Well, you've made it through the checklist. Congrats. Now it's time to get in the plane and start her up. But of course, that's a different checklist, and so I'm not covering that in the pre-flight inspection checklist. So we'll have to wait for that video. But that just about covers the what and the why you do a pre-flight inspection. Now, you can ace any relevant test question that you might see. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and you'll be notified when the next video is out. And stay with me on 121 Point Mike.